Hello everyone, I'm Wes, and welcome to Retro Console Repairs and Mods. On this channel we give old school consoles and handhelds some TLC, fresh upgrades, and slick mods. If you like what I do, please remember to smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share the video with everyone you know. In this episode we're going to take a look at this Super Nintendo that I found on Marketplace for a really good deal. So I bought a couple consoles from a guy here locally. I think I got a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 2, and he had this broken Super Nintendo around as well. So he offered it to me, and I purchased it, and I want to show you what's going on with this. So let's go ahead and turn this on. So the good thing is, first thing is that it does power on. So you notice that the screen is kind of jumping around, turning on and off. If I actually go down, I can actually start the burn-in test here. Yep, there we go. So it's bouncing around pretty good. You'll see it actually will make it through the burn-in test, or the diagnostic test here, and you will see the audio play and everything like that, which is really good. So I'm kind of thinking that this Super Nintendo works. I don't know if it has any display glitches or anything like that, as it might have a bad CPU or a bad PPU or something like that. Haven't gotten that far into it, but this I think is actually capacitors. So if your Super Nintendo is doing stuff like this, I really think that this is capacitors. So I'm going to turn it off and get this unit tore down. Alright, so now that we have this all apart, I'm just going to inspect the board for any damage. Looking for things like broken traces, leaky capacitors, which is really what I'm looking for here. Yeah, these caps up here are leaking pretty good. Especially this one right here. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing, let's go ahead and get these caps off. And I have capacitor kits for this in stock, so I'll go ahead and get them replaced. So this is not the way that I always do this, and you can't do this with every SMC that's out there, but this board, typically these are pretty hardy, so I'm going to go ahead and try it this way. So one of the ways that I remove these SMCs is I twist them back and forth until the legs actually break. So I'm just going to hold on to it, twist it back and forth until that happens. And like I said, be careful and don't do this on all different boards, because sometimes on certain boards you'll actually rip the pads right off the board. Alright, so now that we got all of these old caps out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this board up really well and get the new caps back in. Alright, so now we got to remove these the old connecting surfaces for the capacitors. This was the really bad one right here. And then lastly, we'll come in with a little bit of solder wick here to wick up the last of this old solder. The solder's not flowing very well, so I'm actually going to use some flux to try to pick it up. Alright, the last capacitor we gotta take out is this big one here. So I'm just gonna use some fresh solder and a solder sucker, see if I can get it out. One of the other things you can do is just put a good bit of solder on the pads here. And I'm just gonna put my iron right between the two of them, just to heat up both of them. And then I'm gonna see if I can wiggle it out. Just like that. And let's see if we can use the wick and get all the solder out. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't work for me. So, you do whatever works for you. Alright, let's do a little bit of cleanup work. So I do have a little bit of corrosion between these two traces. So this trace right here and this trace that goes between this pad and this one. There's also a via here. I'm going to check these and make sure that they're okay. The most important thing is to remove as much as of that electrolytic fluid that was around here, so do your due diligence and really clean up. That's fine. That's fine. Alright, so the first thing we'll do here is the big cap. And there's our big cap. Alright, so we're going to start with C64 and 63, which I believe those were, they were 33 UF. They're the two 33 UF capacitors. And the way I do this is I actually will tin one of the pads, and then I'll slide the slide the capacitor in place. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to heat up this pad, and then I'm just going to slide this capacitor over into place, just like that. You do it how you like. This is how I do it. We'll come in here with a little bit more flux on this side, and then I'll feed these two pads. And there you go. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these done, and I'll see you guys at the end. Alright, there's all the board caps. I'm going to go see if I can find a replacement 7805 for this. I like to replace on these super old SHVC boards. I like to replace these 7805 voltage regulators. Somebody once told me, and I don't know if it's true or not, drop me a comment. Alright, let's go ahead and get this changed out. And I'm just going to clean this up until I can put the heat shield back on it. That way I can get it lined up with the screw holes. Find it later. Alright, so what we want to do here is we want to get our regulator attached to the heat shield that it normally is attached to, so that we can get the alignment for this correct. So I'm just gonna screw this in just like that, and then we have our alignment right about where it needs to be. Stay. Here we go. Alright, before I go any further, I'm actually going to get this thing hooked up and make sure everything works. Alright. You guys can't see it yet, but it looks a lot better. And I don't even have the soundboard attached, which I forgot to do. And I need a recap. Take your time getting this out of here. Alright, there we go. We got 2 capacitors in here. Leave a little message for somebody the next time. There we go. I'm going to get this all back together, and then we'll test it out and make sure everything works. Alright, so there's really no point in me putting this back in its shell because the shell that it's in is completely horrible. What I'm actually going to wind up doing is ordering a BitFunks shell from AliExpress for it. I do have it together enough on the bench that I can actually test it out and make sure everything works with it. So here you can see, no problems with the screen anymore, so that looks really good. We're going to go ahead and, well, first of all, I got to put the sound card back in it or I can't actually expect it to play any sound. So let me do that real quick. Whoops. Okay, that's better. Let's do that again. And make sure that everything works the way that it's supposed to. I'm going to leave this thing run for a little bit on the burn-in test to make sure it works. And if everything works the way I expect it to, I'll order a BitFunks shell. Hey, if you guys watch this, drop a like and put in the comments what style and what color shell you'd like to get. Yep. So, I appreciate you guys following along. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all the next time.